So we're at the start point and of course the end point of day one, the start point of day two, Bickerton Village Hall. So let's go and crack on with day number two. The weather is a little bit drizzling at this moment in time. We've just drove through some quite heavy rain, so it's probably going to be heading this way. So it's going to be a bit of an uphill challenge the first couple of hours of day two, but let's see how we get on. So we've just gone up the first road from Bickerton Village Hall. Just the first stage of day two really, and we've just come up this farm track, but it is absolutely soaking it down now. The rain is getting really heavy, so we're just going to find some trees to just stand under, just go ahead and put our cover trousers on. Don't want our walking trousers to get too wet and to be soaking through, so we're just going to put those on and then try and carry on. If there's a bit more of a shelter up ahead, we'll stop for a little bit just to see if this will pass over. If not, we'll carry on and see how we get on. So over trousers on, cover on the bag. We're going to go and try and see what it's like up here. Don't know if you can see the rain, but cornfield there next to us. The rain is dropping pretty heavy. It's going to be a long day if this is going to stay with us. Well, let's see if we can get up to this first hill climb and find some shelter. Perhaps just have 5 or 10 minutes and see if it passes, and check on what the weather's giving out for the rest of today. A little bit of a climb before we get to that, and we'll see what the view's like up there. So we're just walking down this bit now. This bit apparently goes down to an old copper mine, of which there's still some ruins of. So we'll have to see if we can get any footage of that. But it's a little bit under trees where we are at the moment, so the rain isn't as bad as if we were out on the open fields at the side of us there. But we have just got to watch a step. It is very, very slippy in places coming down these stone faces. And obviously mind the low branches. It's not the best place to be walking when you're 6'3", 6'4". But making good progress really. Just need to keep an eye out on the conditions and where we're actually stepping, to make sure we don't make a misplaced step and end up in a load of bother. So you can see that chimney there. That is a reminiscence of Bickerton copper mine. I believe it's grade 2 listed now. But that would have been one of the chimneys for the mine. So Bickerton copper mine. That was once here. Don't know if you can see on the camera, it is properly raining now. We're going to be heading down towards that path there, going back under the trees, going basically around the edge of this forest line, and then we'll be back into the open. So hopefully by then this rain has stopped, or at least eased down a little bit. I would hate to be walking all day in this. Well, let's see how we carry on. Really, really cool looking caves along the route. Maybe part of a mine, not too sure. Really, really cool. So as always, the scenery just seems to keep changing on this walk. We're now walking across the side of a cornfield, of which you can just see corn for miles and miles upend. Now walking down the side of a cornfield, which is a bit boggy in places, you can see. But we've just made it through the first forest, and then we're just heading towards the second one now. The rain has decided to at least slow down, if not stop completely, so that's good. It means that we can hopefully make a bit more progress while it's dry. The vast majority of today will be getting through these woods, and then we should be on the canal, which means it should go a little bit more steadier. Obviously if the weather holds out, it should be not too bad walking down the canal. But first we've got to get there. So through this cornfield, and then we'll see what lies ahead. So we're into the second wood. Keeps us out of the rain a little bit. The rain's just started again a little bit now. Interestingly, to get out of that cornfield that we were in, it came to a dead end. You could see the footpath marker, but it was completely fenced off. The farmer had decided to fence it off, so we had to virtually army crawl underneath one of these barbed wire fences to get out of the field and to end up into this wood. So it's always exciting when the farmers try and block these footpath routes. It's twice that's happened now today. So we'll see how we get on up this wood. Hopefully there's an observation point apparently up here, so we should be able to see a view, although it looks like the clouds are sitting a bit low, so we might not be able to see much, but I'll give you a little glimpse of a view when we're up there. So a view from the forest just outside of Bickerton. Not a bad view at all. A bit of a low-lying cloud there on the horizon, but we're not even right up in the forest. So the view up here is pretty cool. It'll be amazing if you're up there. But luckily for us, we haven't got to go up there. We've just got to go around the edge and down this path. Again, going down the slopes or the downhill bits does become very, very sketchy. I just have to take my time, watch my footing. Nearly slipped a couple of times now, so just take the time. It's not a race, got to keep remembering that. And hopefully when we get out of this forest, the rain is still settled off and we can carry on. Our goal is to get to Crewe today, so we're going to see if we can do that. This is Bulkeley Hill Wood, as you can see there from the National Trust sign. So we've probably got a bit more of this wooded to get through, and then we'll be back out on the roads. So I'll give you an update when we get there. We are now in Bickerton. So the rain just hasn't stopped ever since I've really started. Really, we had a little bit of a break as we were going through those woods at Bulkeley Hill there, but since then the rain just hasn't stopped. It's just bouncing off the roads at this moment in time. Absolutely bouncing off the roads. There's a lot of road water. I think I'll try and avoid the fields the best I can today, because they're going to be waterlogged. A lot of them were waterlogged yesterday when we were heading from Wrexham to Bickerton, and today it's only going to get worse because we've just had more and more rainfall overnight and none of it has managed to drain away. So it's a bit of a challenge today. Very, very wet already, absolutely soaked. Over trousers are on, but still very, very soaked and wet. So we'll carry on and see if we can get to the next village on our path, and then from there it's not long until we get to the canal, so probably an hour until we get to the next village. But I don't think I'm going to bother waiting around until this rain eases off, because this could be it for today. It could be like this for the rest of today, so we'll just crack on and see how we get with it. So another little update for you. We're just coming up to Spurstow now. You can see the amount of road water there is. We're just coming up to Spurstow now, which is just west of Bunbury. Bunbury being another village that we've got to go walk through. And again, still no hold up in the rain. Still heavy, heavy rainfall. But I don't know if the camera's picking up how bad it actually is. But it is falling quite heavily. Absolutely drenched, as you'd expect. So definitely need. Yesterday we couldn't find anywhere really to sit and eat a dinner or have a break, any shelter. Hopefully the village of Bunbury might give us a little bit of shelter, because obviously by the time we get down to the canal there won't be any shelter at all for us to go under. So Spurstow, looking very, very wet at this moment in time. Hopefully the weather starts drying up when we get to Bunbury and we can find some shelter to have a little bit of a break and to dry ourselves off a little bit, even if it's just 5 minutes. We can at least just regain our energy a bit, have something to eat before we start moving down to the canal. So we've just gone through Bunbury, village of Bunbury. This is St Boniface's Church in Bunbury. So we've just gone through a churchyard. We're now heading towards the roads that are actually closed at the moment. So hopefully we can still get past them even though the roads are closed for cars. But up ahead we have a couple of closed roads and then we're on to the canal. So again, not found really any shelter, but the rain has eased off a little bit now. It's drizzling still, but nowhere near as heavy as what we've had it the first 2, nearly 3 hours now. So we're heading towards the canal, and then from there, once we get onto the canal, we've got about 5 miles of canal walking before then we jump off the canal and head across to the stop for today, and that is in Crewe. So we're going to end up at St Peter's Church, which is on Middlewich Road near Crewe, just north of Crewe there. So a little bit until we get to the canal. I'll give you a bit more of an update when we get onto the canal. Should be a bit easier walking then as well. So I'll see you in a minute. So there is the canal bridge for the Shropshire Union Canal. You can see here the fields are completely waterlogged. It's virtually turned into a river there. Incredibly waterlogged. So we have took a little bit of a deviation, come off the course I had first planned, just to come down to the canal a bit sooner, because we know the canal is going to be pretty decent walking. So we've made that decision so that we don't have to go across these waterlogged fields. That just gives you an example of how much it has rained. In terms of rain now, not that much really. It's seemingly stopped, a little bit of spitting every now and again, but nothing really major. So now onto the canal. There's the first lock. As you can see, the canal. So Shropshire Union Canal, it's a main line. And we'll do some canal walking. So hopefully we've got about 5 miles of this. Before then we have to jump back off the canal. But by that time we're not far from the end. So we're about 7 miles in now. About 7.5 miles in. So we're getting there. So walking down the Shropshire Union Canal now, and we've just found this service station at Calverley, I think it's called. Could be a little bit wrong there, but managed to find a service station for the canal boats, which has also got toilets, which was ideal for just drying ourselves off a little bit under the hand dryers from that downpour this morning. Rain seems to have held off for now. It's not too bad. It's a few muddy paths. It's not the normal canal path that you'd expect. It's just grassland at the side of a canal, but it is well trodden, so it does get a bit muddy in places, but other than that it's quite an alright walk. And down here the canal branches off. The main line, which we're on now, continues, and the Shropshire Union Middlewich branches off it towards the left, and that's the way which we'll be going. And once we get there, it's in along until we have to jump off the canal. So we're probably just over a third of the canal walk through so far, and I'll give you a bit more of an update when we get to that T-junction where we have to jump onto the Middlewich Road. So we're about halfway across the canal before it gets to that T-junction with the Middlewich line. But as you can see, this is not really a well-trodden canal path. It is pretty rubbish in areas, walking very close to the canal, but also just the amount of trees and brambles and stuff that are overhanging means that you've virtually got to fight your way through a lot of it. It looks like it's going to start opening up a little bit. The bag keeps getting caught on loads of different things behind me. Hopefully nothing on my bag has attached itself to one of the trees back there, else that'll be gone. But yeah, we're getting, just slipped a little bit, we're getting there down the canal. Like I say, around about halfway until we get to this little bit of a T-junction where we go off onto the Middlewich line of the Shropshire Union Canal, and then we're on that part for around about half an hour to an hour, and then we jump off that and we're not far from the end of today then. So I'll give you a little bit more of an update when we get to that T-junction, and hopefully the other part of the canal is a little bit better than this. So we're now at the T-junction of the Shropshire Union Canal. So we've just come up from that way and we'll be heading down behind me where this bridge is. We'll be heading down that street there. Down there, we're about 10 miles in. It's around about 12:15, so I've managed to find a bench. Lucky enough to find a bench, and the weather not raining, so that's good. So we can grab a bite to eat and then head down to this last part of the canal before jumping off it and heading across to Middlewich Road, where there's St Peter's Church just up from Crewe, and that'll be our final point of today. So 10 miles in, roughly around about 4, nearly 5 miles to go. But time for some dinner, I think. So we're just walking up the canal still, made it to a little canal fueling station and also storage for the canal boats. Loads and loads and loads of canal boats stored here. Chamberlain chandlers. Yeah, so we're just walking across the canal path now. This path's a little bit better. It doesn't last too long though. I can see up ahead it goes back to grass. So might be a little bit boggy in places, but we're getting there. About an hour and a half left to go today, I would assume. About 4 miles, something like that, 4 or 5 miles. So let's do it. Definitely not the best time to be a 6'4" person. My bag's got snagged. This is ridiculous. Bag keeps getting caught. Oh, the fruit. As you can see, it's just ridiculous how far these bushes overhang the path really, and a lot of places we've opened up again a little bit now, but we're coming up to another marina on the right hand side where people can park their canal boats and stuff. So from there, it's not too far until we have to get off the canal and onto roads. Weather wise, it hasn't started raining again since around about 11:30 time. So we've had a good couple of hours, but the ground is still soaked from the rain that has been hitting the last few days, and it's a little bit knackering walking down, even on the canal, because it's not pathed. It's a little bit knackering walking down through the wet grass, but we're making progress. Not long until today is done and we can see what the fields and roads are like when we get off the canal and make our way across to St Peter's Church. So we've made it to the Aqueduct Marina, as you can see behind me. Loads of kind of geese. But the Aqueduct Marina along the side of the Middlewich branch of the Shropshire and Union Canal. Now we've got about half an hour probably until we get off the canal, and it's through a couple of fields, and then the finish point is there today. Now overall, weather has been quite decent this afternoon. The ground hasn't really, but we'll try and get through the rest of today and see how we are when we get home. Suffering a little bit with pain in my ankle at this moment in time. My right ankle is playing up a little bit, but I think that's just because of unsteady ground more so than anything. Hopefully we can rest it tonight at home, and we can hopefully build up a bit more energy and go again tomorrow. Well, that is the Aqueduct Marina, and hopefully around about 20-30 minutes we'll be off the canal and onto more familiar ground. So I'll see you then. So we are off the canal and we're heading towards Middlewich Road and our end point for today. Just walking through the last few fields, heading towards St. Peter's Church. But today's been very, very challenging. The first nearly 3 hours, complete downpour, getting absolutely drenched. And then after that, the canal, thought that was going to be the easy part of the canal. Turned out very much not. Very boggy at the side of the canal, no real path, no canal track or anything like that. Just all grassland at the side of the canal. So it was a little bit tricky to walk on. Both feet are in a little bit of pain now, especially the right ankle. Definitely suffering with that. But we can hopefully get home, get a little bit of rest, strap up any parts that are hurting, and then we can head back out tomorrow and try and do a bit more tomorrow. The outlook for tomorrow looks as if it's going to be dry, so hopefully we can make some good progress tomorrow. The rest of the week looks a bit wet in places, so we can hopefully make good ground tomorrow and potentially not just complete tomorrow's stage but go a little bit further if the weather's good enough to carry on. But we can make that judgment call tomorrow. But first things first, get home tonight, get a little bit of rest, perhaps have a bit of a change of footwear tomorrow. Don't know whether these boots are rubbing me or whether it's just the ground I've been walking on. Might go back to some more familiar boots and see how I fare tomorrow with those. But yeah, round about 15 miles into today now. It's actually turned out to be a bit of a longer day than what I'd scheduled for. Whether that was because the map itself tracks canals as pretty much a straight line when obviously they're not, they go around curves and bends, so that's perhaps what's added on the extra distance. But one more field left to go and then we'll be at St. Peter's Church. So we've made it, we've got to St. Peter's Church on the Middlewich Road just outside Crewe. We've done it. Very, very tough day. But time to get back home, rest up and go again tomorrow. Day 2 complete.